Right, Mr. Heather. Now, we've of course been following the story very closely on WION, and there have been fallout between the judges as well in the recent past few days. How do you assess the credibility of the judges?
Well, the credibility of the judges look like in any country, currently there is also a political turmoil in the United States of America, and the Pakistan and India has similar judiciary. So we should not make any doubts about the credibility of the judges. This is what the government says, that judges are biased. Government is not supposed to make any biased judgments against the credibility of the judges. This is the apex court of the country. This is a constitutional court. As far as government is concerned, government tried to create cracks and division within the Supreme Court of Pakistan. So this is what the three members bench headed by Chief Justice of Pakistan realized. And between the lines, the Chief Justice had been conveying his reservation the way things are being handled. So I don't think so that the credibility of the judges of this bench could be questioned. This is the apex court. However, government could be held responsible. Now I will tell you what government is likely to do against Chief Justice of Pakistan. Government has already said that they will file a reference against the Chief Justice of Pakistan, and as this reference is filed, this reference has to go from the President of Pakistan against the Chief Justice in the Supreme Judicial Council, which is expected. Government is considering to file this reference. So President will never forward this reference to the Supreme Judicial Council because final authority is the President of Pakistan. So President in this situation has become biggest hurdle in the planning of the government to delay the election.
Right, Mr. Heather. Now, earlier Bilawal Bhutto Zardari said that there would be a martial law kind of a situation. How is that likely to pan out?
Well, this statement is significantly under debate and consideration. Your point is definitely the point of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is a significant one, but this smells of a conspiracy by the PDM government that why a sitting foreign minister, who is also the chairman of the party, has hinted towards this situation. This shows that if anything like that, the foreign minister said, then this entire thing would be the responsibility of the government. Government can invite military, right? Government can invite definitely law enforcement agencies, right, to do some action. But currently, under no situation, there is no legal constitutional option available with the government to block this decision or to take any decision against Supreme Court or these three-member judge, including imposition of emergency, imposition of martial law. There are all these things would be considered against the spirit of law and constitution. So this is just a political statement, and there may not be such situation. But if this situation arises, this will be created by the PDM government.
Right, Mr. Heather. Now, the government clearly said that it would not be following the decision if it comes in favor of an election. What can be the implications? Are we expecting any demonstrations to take place?
Well, that is true. The government is definitely, this particular government is of more than 10 parties. There are different, and the top two parties are Pakistan People's Party and Muslim League Nawaz, along with Jamiyat Ulama Islam and several other parties. So you are very right that the government can call its workers to hold demonstration. On the other hand, PTI has already directed its workers to hold celebrations on this historic government. So there could be, if there are demonstrations in the streets by the government parties and by the PTI, that could lead to the clash. But if government invites its own workers to hold demonstration, what message will go across? That government is inviting demonstrations against the Supreme Court of Pakistan, that would be contempt. And likewise, his elder brother, if this happens, Chief Justice is still powerful Chief Justice. He has not been deposed. Although there are cracks, but he enjoys his full authority. He can exercise the contempt of court proceedings against the government. And the consequences of that could be very, very serious. Right? Supreme Court can dislodge the government as it dislodged his brother's government Mr. Nawaz Sharif back in 2017. So the Supreme confrontation with the Supreme Court of Pakistan by any previous governments in the past have been disastrous because judges enjoy the complete authority, although there are divisions, but there is there is a significant number of the judges who stand to the Chief Justice of Pakistan. There are few judges who are on the other side of the bench, but confrontation with the Supreme Court would be very, very disastrous.
Right, Mr. Haider. And do you see any reactions coming out at the moment from the PTI workers?
PTI workers' reaction is indeed positive one. There have been PTI leaders and senior lawyers outside the Supreme Court of Pakistan. They termed this decision extraordinary, and they termed this decision as an historic one, as a victory of law and constitution. Government reaction is expected after the decision, although as I told you and my respected viewers, that this current government has already made it clear that they will not accept the decision. Now the formal reaction by the government is expected in a short while on this particular decision, although the Supreme Court has directed the government to immediately provide relevant resources, security and everything to the Election Commission of Pakistan for holding Punjab Assembly elections on 14th of May this year.
Right. Right. Thank you, Mr. Haider. We are also now being joined by an advocate at Pakistan Supreme Court. Ahmed Pansota is also joining us live. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Pansota. Now, it's a major setback for the Shehbaz Sharif government. What are the reactions from the PTI workers, and what are the options left for Imran Khan and his party at the moment?
Well, I think it's a historic decision. I think... Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Pansota, you're audible.
Yeah, I think it's a historic decision as far as my take on it is concerned. And I think Justice Bandial has chosen to live as one of the greatest Chief Justices of this country. And apart from that, I think for the first time in the history of this country, doctrine of necessity has been buried. Apart from that, what I want to say is that at this point in time, I think the political parties will have to gear up for the elections. The elections have been announced on the 14th of May, at least as far as Punjab is concerned. And PTI, like all other political parties, will be gearing up for the elections. But the only possible problematic situation can be that there will be a backlash from the opposition side. And I believe that has to be tackled and that has to be taken care of. But now, after the judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court, there will be an inbuilt mechanism in the judgment, and the Supreme Court will take care of its implementation as well.
Right, Mr. Pansota. Now, just a few days ago, the Sharif government was clearly questioning the credibility of the judiciary, and now this decision has come out. How do you assess it?
Well, as far as challenging the credibility of the judges is concerned, yesterday they started off by saying that they have an objection to the bench, and they wanted to boycott the proceedings, but then later they withdrew their demand of boycotting the proceedings and went straight on the objection that was leveled to the bench. And the law on that is very clear, that if you level an allegation against one of the members of the bench or the bench in toto, I think in that sense it is for the bench to recuse. If they don't want to recuse, they can go further. And an allegation of substantial bias, a substantial allegation has to be leveled, which I think was not done in this particular case. Of course, there is a mistrust as far as the Supreme Court is concerned on part of the opposition, which is obviously the government at the moment. But I think that will not matter. The Constitution is very clear. Article 189, Article 190, 189 says that the decision of the Supreme Court is binding on all courts, all institutions. 190 says that all executive authority has to act in aid of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. So I think reading the Constitution or the bare perusal of the Constitution suggests that it will be the Supreme Court which will be calling the shots.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Pansota, for joining us on WION at this hour and sharing insights with us. We will, of course, be tracking the story very closely. Thanks very much.